So it's Friday night, and we're back for another episode of KJ's What Happened. This is going to cover the 23rd through the 29th. And speaking of which, a Merry Christmas to you, or Happy Holidays, if you like. And I hope you guys had a good time. Hope you had a good time with your family and the people you love. Because sometimes you don't love your family. I do, I'm just saying. But, I was also thinking, though, during the holidays, and I should have, I guess, put a little video out or something. I thought of doing that, but, also not to forget all those people who are alone out there. I mean, the depression rates, they really shoot through the roof around this time of year for a lot of people. Then it's easy when we're comfortable to, forget about everybody else. So, I try to keep that stuff in mind myself, about the others, really caring about other people. So, I hope you all made it out there. If you're one of those people who, if this is a time of suffering for you, because it is for a lot of people too. It's not always puppy dogs and ice cream, right? So anyway, I hope you all made it through well. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you heal whatever's hurting you. If you have some faith, perhaps pray on it. And then don't just pray on it, but know with a capital K-N-O-W that your prayers are answered. And know with a capital K-N-O-W that our God is a loving God. Don't forget that, Anyway, I'm going to move on. But so welcome. Thanks for coming back. Welcome to everybody in the chat. Sorry I can't really watch the chat while I'm doing this, but I'll do a catching up show here soon where we can just kind of talk with each other again. I hope you're well. Thanks for being here, and enjoy the show. Let's take a look back on the week and some of the news and just little bits I picked up on, and I wanted to share with you. And this one right here is one of them. I really loved this one. This is great. 9 years ago, Al Gore predicted North Pole would be completely ice-free by today. 9 years ago this month, Al Gore predicted the North Polar ice cap would be completely ice-free in 5 years. Gore made the prediction to a German audience in 2008. He told them that the entire North Polarized cap will disappear in 5 years. This wasn't the only time Gore made his ice-free prediction. Gore's been predicting this since 2007. According to Al Gore, the North Pole should be completely melted by now. And there's a video on it right there. Former Vice President Al Gore references computer modeling to suggest that the North Polar ice cap may lose virtually all of its ice within the next 7 years. Some of the models suggest that there is a 75% chance that the entire North Polar ice cap during some of the summer months could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to 7 years, says Gore. In January 2006, Al Gore posited within the next 10 years, the world will reach a point of no return and a true planetary emergency due to global warming. And of course, this turned out to be nothing more than complete lunacy. So there we go. Gore, Al Gore, masseuse. Yeah, this story, Gore is a creep anyway. I mean, an obvious liar, an obvious globalist. But these creeps, the stuff always comes out on them. It always does. Everything is coming out on everybody, It's like, well, where'd that go? Okay, well, that's just some random, let's try something else. I'll find that story. It's from way back, 2010. Portland massage therapist who accused Al Gore of groping confided in a friend shortly after the 2006 incident. Let's see what happens. Donna Burley of Kaiser said her best friend didn't identify the person, but when Gore returned to Portland years later, her friend, quote, freaked out. She freaked and split. She said her predator was back and coming to town. She up and left. Let's see, she's not out for freaking money. This lady, all she wants is this man accountable for his actions. I guess a long time ago. This is like, could be happening right now today. I mean, with all the people being exposed right now for being creeps and creepers, even stuff from many years ago. But anyway, I thought I'd just kind of pop that in. Top of my head. Just kind of made me think about that. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, okay. So I saw this movie, I, Tonya, this week. I, Tonya. And it's about Tonya Harding. And you probably know about her. She was an Olympic, or trying to get in the Olympics, but she was a famous skater. And she was involved in something with another skater named Nancy Kerrigan, where somebody had taken a expandable baton and, like, hit her in the leg and tried to injure her, to kind of knock her out of the competition between her and Tonya. It's a really complicated story. It's not what we were told. This is all based on her life, and Tonya Harding actually signed off on this film. But anyway, the thing I liked about it, or I thought was interesting, is that, again, there's a lot of foul language in here, and I wouldn't say this is a family film. Her family is incredibly dysfunctional. Her mother is one of the most evil characters I've seen in a movie in a really long time. But again, this is based on her life, man, and it's very interesting. She went through a lot, and like I said, didn't play out the way that we were told in the mainstream, because a lot of people think she's the one that did it. A lot of people think Tonya took some stick and hit Nancy Kerrigan, and that simply didn't happen. But what's interesting to me is this: she has amazing God-given abilities, and they manifested when she was like 4 years old, or 4 or 6 years old, somewhere in that range. They first started manifesting. She was an amazing skater. All good things, they come from God. These are gifts. We all have them. We all have different gifts. So this is a beautiful gift she was given. But at the same time, oh man, I mean, just the way she was raised, the environment, the kind of people she was around, she had her challenges. And it's also about her, or us. I connected to this because it's a human story, but it's also about how we all have our own gifts and how we grapple with that and how we deal with it. And are you using your gifts for good? Are you actually using them? A lot of people aren't even using their gifts. A lot of people don't even know they have gifts. A lot of people think they could never have gifts because they just hate themselves. And they got to get over that. Because everybody's got gifts, and they're different. They're different for everybody. But when you figure it out, man, and you start using it, you'll see amazing things manifest in your life. I believe that 100%. I've seen it in my own life. So anyway, I don't know if this is a recommendation or not. I mean, it's a very worldly movie. Some people in my audience are probably offended by things like this. It's, like I said, it's a rated R film, mainly for the bad language, but a fascinating character study, and a person I could kind of connect with on some different levels. I think some of you might as well. It's just interesting. If you look at it through the perspective, this is a person with truly beautiful God-given gifts, and how they dealt with it. Everyone deals with it in different ways. Some people won't even acknowledge it's from God. I mean, I don't know. It's different for everybody. But so that's it. I know it's a bit random, but this is what we do on the show. So let's just see what's next. I'll just kind of hit something. Go back and do that. Oh, okay. So this was just an image. This is an LGBT scene they set up, and I thought it was just kind of interesting. It's the whole baby Jesus thing and all the characters and all, but everybody is gay in this, and it looks like a dome that's been destroyed, a dome that's half destroyed. It makes me think of the dome on the rock, Jerusalem. But anyway, I thought it was kind of weird, kind of interesting, just more perversion, when it comes to our faith, and a loving God, and a Jesus that is much more than what most churches tell us. So you almost can't, you can understand why so many people that are ignorant, can hate God or hate Jesus, because all they know is religious stuff and religious folk, and what the media tells them, So, because every Christian character in pretty much any movie or TV show is usually a dork or a creep or like a serial killer or something. So, anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. What else we got? Yeah, so this one's interesting for those people who look into Sandy Hook. I've done a video on it myself. Let's try to skip this ad. There we go. 5 years after Sandy Hook shooting, police still haven't released after action report. This is not normal. And actually, let me go ahead and stop that. And this is from a little bit further back here, but it still happened this month, and I wanted to share it. December 14th, 2017. In the 5 years since 20 students and 6 educators were killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School, the Connecticut State Police have been unable to complete a report that law enforcement across the country can look for when preparing for future incidents of extreme violence. You may be new to this whole thing, but many of us believe that Sandy Hook really was like a major hoax, and that's where a lot of the kind of what I call the hoax-tard community came from. Is now you have fringe people, just because some of these things really are hoaxes and creepy and weird. There's also a lot of strange occult things that happened around this whole incident and event, but some people just take it too far. They see the truth in some of these stories that are mainstream and just freaking crazy, and we know they're not true. And then they suddenly think, oh my gosh, it's all like that, and they go cuckoo, cuckoo. It's the hoax-tard community, I call it. And it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Because with everything, we have to come at every story nowadays, and for the last several years, with our reason, our logic, our critical thinking, your spiritual discernment. I mean, you've got to use everything. You have to really try to decipher practically every story. It's just the way it is now, right? We can't just jump off just go crazy on everything and just say, oh, it's all this or it's all that, because it's not. There's different things happening. There's hoaxes, there's false flags, which are different. There's mind control being used with some people. I mean, it's a mix, Anyway, here's one I just thought I'd share with you. More UFO videos. As I've told you guys in the past, there's a real increase in these lately. The UFOs I focus on are the orbs. I think these are like living entities, if you will, demonic interdimensionals, fallen angels, lying signs and wonders. And we're seeing more of it, I believe, just to kind of prepare the public for a real disclosure. And it'll be interesting to see how that looks. Excuse me. Some people may say it's all Project Bluebeam stuff that they're setting up, but who knows? Anyway, let's check this out together. This is a good one. And here you go.
No, seriously, what is that? What is that? Wait, should we pull over and look at it? Hey, it's another one. No, what is that? Should we pull over? So wait, it's gone. Wait, I don't know. No, I don't know what that is in the sky, but it's crazy. Look, it's disappearing.
The pyramid formation as well. I've done a lot of videos on that in the past, but how oftentimes these orbs will form a pyramid formation. I'll get a big video coming on all this stuff soon, but I'll show you a lot of footage in that video. But again, there's the pyramid formation, This happens a lot. Anyway, I figured I'd share that with you. Go ahead and shut this one down. Interesting stuff though, right? A lot more of these things are being seen. And again, it's the orbs. It's the entities, I believe. It's a letter from 2056. Utopian LA is where everyone wants to live. It's just a lot of propaganda in this. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but this is all Agenda 2030 is what it is. I suggest you look up Agenda 2030 if you've never heard of that. But it really all goes back to like United Nations, Vatican's involved in this as well. But it's really a Luciferian idea. It's about overpopulation. This is why we have a lot of this Mother Earth worship. It's about killing a lot of people off. Even the 10 Commandments of the beast system, and I'm sure you probably know what the Georgia Guidestones. It's the 10 Commandments of the beast system. Even there, it talks about keeping humanity under a certain level, in connection with the earth and all this other stuff. So that's what we're seeing here. But this is just a bunch of propaganda because they're pushing Agenda 2030, and LA is where you're going to see a lot of this stuff happen. That's where you got the tiny house thing started real big out in LA a while back, and it's kind of everywhere now. And it's kind of cute and kind of a cool idea, but I think that's also part of the agenda. It's getting people into smaller homes, smaller confined areas, getting rid of the cars. Like I said, you can read all this stuff. They lay it all out. But anyway, thought I'd throw that in there real quick. And the World Health Organization is now classifying video game addiction as a mental disorder. You guys think about that? Because, there are, again, this is when I see both sides of. There's a television series called Intervention. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Intervention. It's really powerful stuff. It's, I guess you've got to be in the right frame of mind to watch stuff like that because the stories, a lot of times they turn out really good, and then a lot of times they turn out really bad. It's kind of a mix. When they turn out really good, that's amazing, of course. But anyway, I've seen some people on Intervention that were addicted to video games. Only a few. I've seen them profiled on there, but it seemed just as bad as a drug. I get that. But anyway, when the World Health Organization's involved, I don't trust it right off the bat anyway. But we'll read a little bit here. The recent news that the World Health Organization is to classify gaming disorder as an official mental health condition has received many angry responses on the internet. The 11th edition of the International Classification of Diseases is due to be published in 2018 and will include gaming disorder as a serious health condition. The diagnostic manual was last updated in 1990, 27 years ago. The New Scientist reported the criteria that will be used by professionals in order to assess whether a person is suffering from a gaming disorder. Vladimir Pozniak, a member of the WHO's Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, explained that while many people who play video games don't have a disorder, excessive playing can have an adverse effect on one's mental health. The announcement has received an enormous response. Sorry, just jumped ahead of me, didn't it? The announcement has received an enormous response, with many questioning whether gaming disorder should be considered as a serious health condition at all. And here's some tweets. Gaming disorder, ? That's like saying I have drawing disorder because I draw too much. What are these people thinking? Can't believe they're trying to make gaming disorder a mental condition. Capital LOL. They gonna send us all gamers to rehab. Crying emoji. Great. Let's make it worse for people who actually have a real disease disability to get the help they need. I have Duchenne muscular dystrophy and depression. Let's see how many more dumb conditions become a reality. Hashtag gaming disorder is now officially a thing, a real sickness that will be recognized by doctors and insurance companies. Good grief, what kind of drugs are they going to pump into kids for this one? That's probably my favorite response, because I see that angle to it already. They want everybody medicated anyway, you know that. So there you go. I'm going to throw that one in there for good measure. See what you think. Let's jump around here a bit. Oh, okay, there's this one. So I think it happened on the 22nd, but it was the whole SpaceX launch in Los Angeles. I'm sure most of you have seen those videos by now, and there's some funny ones too, because people were freaking out. I mean, they never really made a major announcement about this. I think he put something on his Twitter, Elon Musk, but they never, put it on the news, which they should probably tell the people before they launch something like that over Los Angeles, such a highly populated area. And they did it, and I'm sure, like I said, a lot of you have probably already seen the footage. If you haven't, you should check it out. It's absolutely amazing. It really does look like some kind of creepy, weird sci-fi movie, future technology or something. It's amazing. So, so it reminded me, of course, of that H.G. Wells shtick, little game he played many years ago when he was doing a live radio broadcast. And this is back in the day when most people at home didn't have TV and smartphones and stuff. So they were sitting around listening to the radio. And he had like a huge show, reached tons of people, and did the whole War of the Worlds thing. Like they did a theater basically on the radio, acting as if aliens were here and people were dying and everything's being destroyed. And it was a huge psychological operation. It really screwed up a lot of people. So this is what the SpaceX thing it reminded me of. Something like that, almost like kind of testing the public. I don't know. And I'm putting that once again in a video I'm doing as well about all this disclosure, being it's a subject I've covered for years. And it's just crazy how much of this stuff is so mainstream now, and makes you wonder, right? Like how close we are to actually seeing this kind of stuff, actually being here, meeting the quote aliens, which I don't believe in aliens, but the fallen ones. It's be a huge deception. This is what I believe. So anyway, I guess like the next day or a few days later, it was a few days later, they had something similar show up in Russia. And there's several different angles on this. So we'll just kind of look at some of the footage here. But here's one of the things right here. And it looks a lot like the SpaceX thing, right? Has that same tail, has that cone going on, a cone effect. And interesting, right? There's that. You can still see a little bitty bit there. And this is the SpaceX, right? Yeah, this is the one from Los Angeles. Like I said, this is like stuff out of a movie or something. It's crazy. It's another angle of the one in Russia. It's like, what kind of, is there some kind of secret war being played out right now? It makes me wonder. They're using these strange weapons that, none of us know about, but they do. They're just calling it satellites or tests or whatever, but maybe there's some kind of a strange secret war going on right now between all the groups at the top of the pyramid, the Illuminati, and maybe there's infighting, or who knows. Maybe there are some good people out there high up in the government that are fighting these people. I don't know. I wouldn't put my money on it, but it's interesting to think about. So there's another one. Let's see what else we got here. I think that's, there's a nice shot of it. Yeah, there's another one from Russia. Crazy, right? It's beautiful. I think there's one more in here. Oh, there it is. Yeah. That's another one from Russia. Wild, huh? So what's really going on? Makes me wonder. Sign a contract before sex. Political correctness could destroy passion. In the West, at least everyone has become massively aware of the extent of coercion and exploitation in sexual relations. However, we should bear in mind also the no less significant fact that millions of people on a daily basis flirt and play the game of seduction with the clear aim of finding a partner for making love. The modern world, that is, huh? The result of the modern Western culture is that both sexes are expected to play an active role in this game. When women dress provocatively to attract the male gaze, or when they objectify themselves to seduce them, they don't do it offering themselves as passive objects. Instead, they are the active... Just got cut off, sorry. Instead, they are the active agents of their own objectification, manipulating men, playing ambiguous games, including reserving the full right to step out of the game at any moment, even if To the male gaze, this appears in contradiction with previous, quote, signals. What's that say? Teen girls sexting prosecuted as felony child porn. 14-year-old girl who sent her boyfriend an explicit photo she took of herself may face up to 10 years in jail and be registered as a sex offender. Wow. So this freedom women enjoy bothers all kinds of fundamentalists, from Muslims who recently prohibited women touching and playing with bananas and other fruit which resembles the penis, to our own ordinary male chauvinist who explodes in violence against a woman who first, quote, provokes him and then rejects his advances. Female sexual liberation is not just a Puritan withdrawal from being objectivized, that's it, as a sexual object for men, but the right to actively play with self-objectivization, offering herself and withdrawing at will. But will it be still possible to proclaim these simple facts, or will the politically correct pressure compel us to accompany all these games? I'm getting bored with reading this. Let's just kind of get to the point, people. So I'm just going to pass on this one. I'm bored now, but we get the point. So I guess they're trying to get people to sign a contract before sex. Got it. This is kind of a weird news story I stumbled across. That was interesting. Federal agents found fetuses in body broker's warehouse. Federal agents discovered 4 preserved fetuses in the Detroit warehouse of a man who sold human body parts. Confidential photographs reviewed by Reuters show. The fetuses were found during a December 2013 raid of businessman Arthur Rathburn's warehouse. The fetuses, which appear to have been in their second trimester, were submerged in a liquid that included human brain tissue. Weird. Rathburn, a former body broker, is accused of defrauding customers by sending them diseased body parts. He has pleaded not guilty, and his trial is set for January. How Rathburn acquired the fetuses and what he intended to do with them is unclear. Rathburn's lawyers did not respond to requests for comment, and neither the indictment nor other documents made public in his case mention the fetuses. This news to be reviewed, said U.S. Rep. Marsha Blackburn, Republican from Tennessee who recently chaired a special U.S. House committee on the use of fetal tissue. Blackburn recoiled when a Reuters reporter showed her some of the photographs taken by government officials involved in the raid. In 4 of the photos, a crime scene investigator in a hazmat suit uses forceps to lift a different fetus from the brownish liquid. In 3 other photos, a marker that includes a government evidence identification number lies beside a fetus. Gross. So the buying and selling of cadavers and other body parts, with the exception of organs used in transplants, is legal and virtually unregulated in America, but trading in fetal tissue violates U.S. law. Blackburn's call for action came in response to a Reuters series that exposed abuses in the human body trade and what Blackburn called lax oversight and lax enforcement of the industry. Photos from inside Rathburn's warehouse offered a stark example of government failures to police the industry. They include images of rotting human heads, some floating face up in a plastic cooler. The FBI, which has been investigating Rathburn and other body brokers, declined to comment. So there you go. Oh yeah, so this one. So, man, there's so many shows for kids that are all about indoctrinating them with the occult. And, most of us have seen this stuff. Many of us have covered this in videos. And it just doesn't stop. It's like nonstop. But anyway, they're taking Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which I wouldn't recommend for kids anyway. And at least now they're being honest, I think. At least now we're beyond that false appearance of, wholesomeness. A lot of these shows come off all wholesome and sweet. Meanwhile, this is what it really is right there on screen. In this case, it's truly demonic or evil, and it has bad intentions for the youth. So at least they're being honest. But anyway, they're doing an upgrade to Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Formerly set up at the CW, Netflix recently became the new home for a series based on the comic series The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, set to be an hour-long drama that will reimagine the story of Sabrina the Teenage Witch as a dark coming-of-age tale that traffics in horror, the occult, and witchcraft. And that's all you need to know about it. It's right there. It's like more indoctrination, all these satanic shows. It's just like nonstop, you know? It's nonstop. Let's see. Here's a little quote on the show. The series is described as being tonally in the vein of horror classics like Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist, and we'll see Sabrina wrestling to reconcile her dual nature as a half witch, half mortal, while standing against the evil forces that threaten her, her family, and the daylight world humans inhabit. So yeah, it's just more indoctrination, you know? Here's one from the really creepy file. I'll just play this out for you here. So this is how I first saw this footage. It's here on UFO Mania, but security camera caught two strange people in hospital. And this is really interesting footage, and I got the rest of the story on this. So I'm going to show you some things about it. But anyway, just check this out. It's really weird. Look at these. And these are real people, real beings, we'll say. Anyway, pretty crazy, huh? We'll stop there. Break it down. Bring it down. Security camera caught two strange people in hospital. Weird, right? I mean, immediately you think, as again, we're talking about the extraterrestrials, which I believe are the fallen ones, but these look like, also with the rainbow symbolism and all this, and the purple from Saturn. But you start putting it all together, it's got the gray eyes, like the little thing there on the top of the head. So we know this is connected back to those beings. They look just like Lamb. Remember, Aleister Crowley was channeling a demon or a demonic spirit. He drew a picture of it. It looked like a gray alien. So that's just, I've put that in so many videos, but there's so many other examples of how it's all connected. But so yeah, so that was kind of wild, right? So let me go find the rest of the story for us here. I think it's one of these up here. Nope. Over here. There it is. Okay, so let's do this. So anyway, it's a couple of sisters, but there's still some stuff I want to show you here. I thought was interesting. The Tichenko sisters. And here they are, and they're both super tall, as you'll see. Anyway, there they are. So they must have been visiting the hospital, probably, I don't know, like a kid or something or whatever. Because there's celebrities out there in Russia, but that's interesting, though, these outfits look like aliens, right? Weird aliens. Aliens. There's some more pictures of them. There we go. That's where you get the real effect. Some of these pictures are insane. Look how tall these people are. Another one. But still, it's interesting. It reminds me of the giants. There were giants in those days. We know this comes from the fallen angels. It's all connected with that. Perhaps these are leftovers, like they caught a bit of that bloodline, perhaps. If that's the case, it's interesting that we find the connection, once again, to the fallen aliens or the fallen angels. I think there's another couple of pictures I want to show you here. Oh, here's one. So, and of course, the horns, right? So the symbols always tell another story, but we need confirmations, right? We need other connections typically, but so she's got the horns. Yeah, like I said, they're famous. They do some kind of a show out there. There's a lot of pictures of that, them up there doing shows. But anyway, I thought it was interesting. I want to share that with you. Look at that. It gives you a good idea how tall she is. Wow. Beautiful girls. Super tall. Super tall. Alien stuff again. Even that, like, it's like a genderless alien. You know, it reminds me of that story. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but genderless alien. There it is. It's a consciousness. You know, I mean, it works through people. It's not just in one area or another, it's everywhere. And there's the picture, if this had come up. And of course, they got the Masonic floor down there as well. The symbols always tell the rest of the story, right? Yeah, this is the guy. Wow. Eek! Some scary stuff. That even that symbolism, you know, the fully darked out eyes, it's how they always represent demonic possession in films and TV shows and even in real life. I've watched a lot of those kind of true crime stories on Investigation Discovery, and it's insane how many times these victims say that when the person was about to hurt them or whatever, that their eyes had completely gone black and they didn't even seem like the same person. What do we got here? It's from Campus Reform. Oh, okay, yeah. Students applaud Brown's new Pocahontas policy. Brown University is now allowing prospective students to, quote, self-identify as people of color on their applications, evoking comparisons to Senator Elizabeth Warren's claims of Native American ancestry. Campus Reform visited Brown to see what students think of their school's new Pocahontas policy. See if there's a bit of a video here. Watch some of the video. Kill that. Let's check some of this out.
Also, Campus Reform. Today we're at Brown University, where a new policy was enacted giving students the ability to self-identify as people of color on their application process. What do students think of this new policy? Let's find out. The school is giving students the chance to self-identify, in their words, as whether they feel as if they're a person of color on the application process. Some people are calling this the Pocahontas policy because students can simply check something that they don't apply to. What do you think? You think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
Overall, I think it's a good thing.
I think this is a positive aspect. It's intended to create an atmosphere of inclusion and support diversity, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Including that would be a really great move.
If somebody identifies as something, it should be their right to.
I think it would generally be a positive thing.
People should be granted all the options that they feel necessary to express themselves in that way.
If the goal is student comfort and attracting a more diverse student body, then I don't see it as particularly harmful.
I feel weird talking about this as not a person of color.
What if you feel like one, though? If the school came to someone who falsely claimed to be a person of color and said, you're not, what if the person has said, I am, I identify that way? I mean, that's...
I don't think I have the option to change my ethnicity.
Okay, but why is it different than gender?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I think it's intended for those people that, want to identify as a person of color or whatever it may be.
Is racial identity something that is fluid over someone's life?
I feel like people tend not to try and make up their identity. I feel like something that people themselves know better than people who don't know them, and something that society likes to put on them.
I think that gender is something that is inside of you and that you feel, whereas ethnicity has ties to culture and heritage and tradition.
If people come from multiracial backgrounds or just want to choose that as an option and a way to express themselves, I think it's important that people have as many options, especially at a predominantly white institution.
Really connects back to kind of what I was saying earlier about the quote hoaxtards, people who just aren't thinking. Everything's an illusion, nothing's real. They lose their minds. But this is the kind of stuff we're dealing with. You see the same thing happening at the universities, of course, and it's not just there. It's even in middle schools and high schools. Like Common Core, look up Common Core. It's ridiculous. If you're a parent, you should definitely know about Common Core. But anyway, just goes to show you, man, like people aren't thinking. People don't care about truth. I don't want to say people don't care about truth, but there is a large segment of our society that just clearly doesn't care about the truth. Interesting. Very interesting. What else we got here? Oh yeah, more of this stuff. Again, people are losing their minds, and these are examples of how people don't want truth. Out by British Army in favor of a gender-neutral world. Words such as mankind and manpower are being eased out at a military training base in favor of gender-neutral language. Students at the Defense Academy of the United Kingdom have been encouraged to use phrases like people, folks, and friends to avoid alienating women and LGBT people. The madness continues. Notices have gone up at the Academy, which houses students from the civil service and government, as well as the Army, Navy, and Royal Air Force, offering alternative suggestions for commonly used words. And this is just off the top of my head, but what if this is all another example of them preparing us for like these genderless type aliens? And I think that'll probably be a part of the one world one world order religion. I imagine that's going to be part of it as well, that sex will be like an open expression of love, and that's what the world tells you is sex means love, right? Which I don't agree with, but the world sees it that way. So perhaps it'll be kind of like a whole, Aquarian age type, do what feels good, God loves you type stuff. Hey, I'm just throwing it out there, but what if that's all part of it? And they're preparing us for even like these tranny type, weird aliens. I mean, it's just, who knows, it makes me wonder. But I wonder a lot of things. But anyway, so they include saying human resources instead of manpower and humanity as opposed to mankind. Here's some: humanity or humankind instead of mankind, unwritten agreement instead of gentleman's agreement, folks or friends instead of chaps, human resources instead of manpower, fairness or good humor instead of sportsmanship. Wow. Best person for the job instead of best man for the job, an average person instead of man on the street. Wow, man, look at that. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. They're policing what you can say, telling you what's safe to say. One of these days, I'm going to do a massive video on this gentleman right here, Ryan Murphy. Because if anybody is a part of the Hollywood satanic underground or the Hollywood Illuminati or anything like that, I definitely believe he's one of them. Just because of the kind of things he's put out and the symbolism in so many of the shows. He's done a lot of stuff. He's done Glee. He did Feud. It was like a short series about, I can't remember their names now, but a couple of Betty Davis, and I can't remember the other lady's name, but just a couple of old school 50s actresses who had a huge feud. They were both in Baby Jane together. Whatever happened to Baby Jane? Gosh, why can't I remember that lady's name? Anyway, but he's done more than that. But anyway, now he's doing a transgender musical series. So it's more of this stuff. Satanic consciousness. Cable channel FX said on Wednesday it had greenlit Glee creator Ryan Murphy's Pose. Oh, Ryan Murphy also does American Horror Story, by the way. A dance musical series featuring the largest transgender regular cast in U.S. television history. Again, man, there's just more confusion. This is why I've got so many people, not so many, but there's a subculture on YouTube. I'd probably get at least 1 or 2 messages per video on it, but that believe everyone's a tranny. That's another psyop. I personally think it's a psyop. Everyone's a tranny. You can't trust anybody in Hollywood. Everybody's a tranny. And I just, again, calm down. Let's think this through. But just more confusion. This is what the world's selling us, is more confusion. The series will star Evan Peters and Kate Mara as a New Jersey couple who get sucked into the glamour and intrigue of New York City in the 1980s. Through their story, the series will chronicle life and society in New York, the rise of the luxury Trump-era universe, and the downtown social and literary scene. Murphy said in a statement he expected the show to be a, quote, game changer about the, quote, universal quest for identity, family, and respect. And this is New World Order religion. That's what all this stuff is, man. It's preparing the people for this. Adding that it would also feature 50 plus LGBTQ characters, another record. I can't wait for people to see this incredibly talented, passionate cast. Oof. So there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth. Straight from the Baphomet's mouth. Devil Doll. This was just kind of a goofy one. I thought it was kind of weird, but Devil Doll mom fumes at Toys R Us after buying daughter Christmas doll, which called her a bitch. So there's this. I think that they kind of bleep out the word. Let's see here. Might take a little bit for that to load up. Give her a second. Oh, well, there you have it. Merry Christmas. There's a nice little toy for the kids. This right here just kind of goes back to the video we already watched about, the SpaceX launch and then the weird stuff in Russia that look kind of similar. But you guys ever seen this picture right here? That's what it kind of reminded me of as well. This is an old picture. I believe it's from the 1300s. The 1300s. You get Jesus on the cross there in the middle. But over to the corners up in the top left and right, you get those things, right? Those weird looking kind of spaceships. So I don't know, just something I wanted to share. It reminded me of the sightings we've had recently here in America and also in Russia. Don't know if it means anything. Don't know if it's connected. Just kind of reminded me of that. That's all. Moving on. Yeah, this one's a tragic one. A tragic story here. You guys heard about this or not? There were Ohio teens, there's several kids, are now charged with murder for allegedly killing motorists with sandbag dropped from overpass.
Huh?
Let's pause this here.
Doesn't sound so good.
Let's just read down a little bit. 4 Ohio teens were charged with murder on Tuesday for allegedly throwing a sandbag from a highway overpass as a part of a prank that left one man dead. The victim, 22-year-old Marquise Bird of Warren, Michigan, died late last week, succumbing to injuries sustained on December 19th when the teens allegedly dropped a construction sandbag from an overpass on the I-75 in Toledo, Ohio. Bird, who was riding in the front passenger seat of a vehicle heading down south on I-75, was critically injured when the sandbag crashed through the windshield, police said. He died at a Toledo area hospital Friday morning. The 4 teens, here's the sad part, look at that, all between the ages of 13 and 14 years old, were seen leaving the area of the overpass after the deadly incident. 13 and 14 years old, man. You guys remember when you were 13 and 14? I mean, we all did dumb stuff, but wow. The 4 juveniles were observed by officers leaving the area of the Indiana Avenue I-75 overpass after the vehicle in which Mr. Bird was traveling was struck. Detectives determined the falling sandbag was not an accident, but a deliberate act, and probable cause to charge the juveniles was established. So enormous penis pops up in New York City. You guys may have seen this story. Put this in. I'll explain. A towering painting depicting a shockingly lifelike penis went up on the side of 303 Broome Street on Christmas Eve. Swedish street artist Carolina Falkolt stood up and took credit on Instagram for the picture, which lacks testicles, but no doubt took cojones to paint. So the only reason I put that up is I did a video a while back on my channel. Of course, now we have to be real careful what kind of titles we use for anything on YouTube. But it was something, I think it was like, why is there so much of this in Hollywood films lately? I think that was the one. But it was about this, because more and more of these movies, usually quote comedies over the last several years, have men running around with boners, has a lot of wiener humor, a lot of gayish type humor between bros, stuff like this. It's a lot of it. There's even a new show on Netflix called Vandal. It's all about some kid that can't help himself but draw penises on everything. And that's a fairly new show on there. And then there was Superbad. Remember that as a kid, not Seth Rogen, but the Jonas, whatever his name is, him as a young character couldn't help but draw penises all the time. So again, that's just more conditioning really for us. And it's just, it's more conditioning. It makes you think on a much lower level, a lower type vibration, if you will, as well. Also connected, I'm sure, with all the unicorns we're seeing and rainbows, more of the connection with the gay type stuff. Also a loss of modesty on a mass scale, things like this. So anyway, there's that. Okay, this one. Topless activist tries to steal nativity baby Jesus at the Vatican. The reason I put this up, a topless activist tried to snatch baby Jesus from the nativity scene in St. Peter's Square in Rome on Monday. The activist with the radical women's group Femin jumped over the railing around the scene and lunged for the statue of Jesus before she was foiled by a Vatican guard. The woman screamed, "God is woman," and had the same slogan painted on her back. Pictures show her sprinting toward the elevated nativity, making it up the steps and even managing to touch the statue of the infant before she was pulled off by guards and detained. The drama took place 2 hours before Pope Francis delivered his Christmas tidings to some 50,000 people in the square. The stunt occurred the morning after a group of feminine activists protested at the nativity with Me Too, a hashtag painted on their bare chests and assaulted by the church, scrawled across their abdomens. Femin, founded in Ukraine, says its mandate is complete victory of patriarchy, which goes back to more recent videos of mine. It's this Mother Goddess stuff is coming back. It's boiled up right now. So we're seeing a battle between the patriarchy and the matriarchy. Really, it's more about these women who are fighting against the matriarchy. And they're wanting patriarchy to be the dominant force. But this goes back again to that Mother Goddess worship. The child is not from a god, but from a woman. For a woman is God, Femin's website wrote in its coverage on Monday's near snatching. Ba-dum-bum. I think that's the same picture that I have. Yeah, I think that's why I had that picture up. You see the nude dude over here. But anyway, yeah, so it's the same picture up I had earlier, the broken dome and all that too. But so that's what I wanted to share with you, though. I thought that was interesting. It's more proof of, again, some of the stuff I've been sharing in videos lately is this burgeoning Mother Goddess worship. We can even throw Isis in there. The goddess. And of course, it's interesting they gave the name to this terror organization that developed under Barack Obama. What else we got? Oh, this one. I just figured we'd kind of look at this together a little bit. It's the new Katy Perry video. I'm sure it has tons of symbolism, like everything she does. So I'm just going to kind of jump around and see what we see in here. Well, there's that. So we already got one. So wake the hell up. And they have hell on there for a reason. That's no surprise. You got the bolts at the top, which are commonly used in a lot of these movies, TV shows, advertisements. But it also has to do with the the devil falling like lightning. And at the bottom, diamonds. The diamond is the as above, so below paradigm. The diamonds are, that's why you have so many reflecting pools set up in front of occult type structures, because it creates a diamond. There's several. There's a big one in DC. And they have the reflecting pools there in front of, like I said, like the obelisk in Washington. It's another as above, so below, right? So, but the diamonds is a common one. That's why you hear a lot of these, quote, Illuminati type artists singing about diamonds or talking about diamonds. It's also interesting, there's amazing diamond UFOs, which are out there, which are, again, those shape-shifting entities. I'll show you an image of that in a second. So maybe that's a part of the diamonds in the sky, I'm sure there'll be more. What else we got? Well, there you go. Okay, I guess, yeah. That kind of speaks for itself. Again, the rainbow stuff. The rainbow, the unicorns, the gender fluidity, the homosexuality, genderless aliens, perhaps. Or she-melish type aliens, who knows? Baphomets, right? Baphomets. So we're seeing some symbolism. No surprise with this chick. Does it all the time. Anyway, let's see. There might be some more stuff in here. Jump around. I think I've seen enough. I figured we'd kind of look at it together. The beheadings. There's the beheading going on. All right, we got it. Let me show you this really crazy, now that I'm thinking about it. Diamond. This is one of the most interesting bits of footage I've seen on one of these things. It's a real good close-up of one of these energy UFOs. So again, I tell you, I think these are demonic entities, interdimensionals, fallen ones, lying signs and wonders in the sky. Take a look at this thing, though. Pixelated, I know, but it's from like what, 2009. So you could probably shut it on a camera or something, but very interesting nonetheless. So I wanted to share that with you. It's kind of what it made me think of. What else we got? Lewis Hamilton mocked for wearing same clothes as Princess Diana days after he told the nephew, "Boys don't wear princess dresses." You may have heard of this story here. Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton has been mocked for wearing the same clothes as Princess Diana days after he told his nephew, "Boys don't wear princess dresses." So now there's a lesson that they're giving us right here, and that's why this stuff's out. They're shaking their finger at you. How dare you? How dare you not go along with this Aquarian age new philosophy? You're not allowed to call something out like this. You're not allowed to say that I don't believe in that or I don't agree with it. And on a deeper level, which will come manifest, I'm sure, more in the coming times, it'll have to do with your faith. Because faith, believing in God and following the ways of Christ and accepting Christ as your Savior, but more specifically, even other religions. I know there's a lot of other religions out there, but they all have their own morality to them, and they keep people in line for the most part, right? So keep you following a set of standards that, that we believe will help humanity and help us be better people, and but that's what that'll be. It'll be taking all that stuff away anyway. You can no longer say, I don't believe in the gay lifestyle, or I'm not for an 8-year-old being a cross-dressing, she-male or whatever. So that's what I see with this kind of stuff. And images emerged of Hamilton, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, so here's what they do. And here's what he did first. And I'll show you. He comes after the star came under fire for posting an Instagram video of his nephew, apparently filmed on Christmas Day, and which has since been deleted. In the video, Hamilton looked at the camera and said, "I'm so sad right now. Look at my nephew." He turned the camera to show the young boy wearing a princess dress and waving a toy wand, saying to him, "Why are you wearing a princess dress? Is that what you got for Christmas?" He then ended the video by shouting, "Boys don't wear princess dresses." So, of course, critics attacked Mr. Hamilton for shaming the child and apparently trying to enforce heteronormative ideas of gender. So you see where this is going. So then just a couple days later, he gets attacked in the media. Now this is the new story. It's no longer so much about what he did, but it's this. Like they're trying to, boys don't dress as princesses. We get it. But anyway, so shame on him for having an opinion that's contrary to the mainstream. That's the message we get, right? So if ever there was an Illuminati sacrifice, if ever there was an Illuminati celebrity sacrifice, to me, this is one of the most classic stories I've seen in a really long time. To do with Rihanna, of course, so no surprise there. But the crime scene in Barbados where Rihanna's cousin 21 was shot dead just hours after they spent Christmas Day together. Rihanna's cousin was shot to death in the St. Michael's area of Barbados Tuesday. Tavon Alien was shot several times by a man while he was out walking. Rihanna, 29, said she had just spent Christmas with the 21-year-old. Singer also wrote in gun violence and shared photos of them together. Well, immediately jumping into the agenda too, right? Blaming the guns, right? Pictures have emerged showing spot where residents say he was murdered. So this is the crime scene. We got all that. Pictures show Rihanna, 29. Let's go down some. There's some pictures. I guess that's where he was shot right there. That area. There they are together. Rihanna was hanging out in this area. Really? So she really needed to go see her cousin so bad? So globe-trotting multimillionaire Rihanna like really went out there just to see her cousin for the holidays. This is how multimillionaire, beautiful Rihanna, multi-zillionaire, beautiful Rihanna chooses to go to Barbados, which, I mean, she is from there. I get it. And I think there's more. Maybe she went there for an actual reason. Let's see. Maybe she did. There's something going on. I don't know. Let's see. The 8-time Grammy Award winner added the hashtag End Gun Violence at the end of the post. Earlier this month, Barbados police said there had been a significant increase in gun-related crimes on the island. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see, going down. So I guess she was in her hometown. I'm guessing that's her hometown. No matter what, after all the years of me looking into the kind of things I do, I just can't help but feel that this was a new sacrifice for her. So I guess what we watch for is what's coming next. She has a new album coming out, or maybe launches a new line of some kind of product. Your cousin. Anyway, there you go. I think it's interesting stuff. Oh, he's doing the shish. Shh. A lot of these stories are coded too. You know, it's interesting. So maybe. There she is apparently at the hospital. I don't know. No, that's not her. It's somebody else. Cousin. There you go, man. Oh, look at this. So she's wearing the red dress. She had previously taken to social media over the Christmas holiday, showing off her fabulous form in a red gown. When you trying to get cute for Santa, but you ain't got no chimney. But I don't know, maybe that's another signal as well. I mean, we know the lady in red is a very commonly used symbol for the Masons and what we call the Illuminati, the higher level type Masons, and other secret societies mixed in there with them. But the lady in red's definitely a thing. So perhaps. Anyway, that's the story. That's the story. Here's one I thought was pretty wild. I'll share with you. Let's take a look at this here.
You saw that flag, right? With the cross on it? That's a known white supremacist symbol. So them going around pushing their Christianity on people who aren't even necessarily Christian, their obsession with their holiday, their obsession with freedom of speech marks that they want to hurt people.
This march for Katy Perry is going to be one of the first to just dedicate this whole day to Jesus, okay?
Because they are more obsessed with their rights than they are the basic decencies that people deserve. These people have a disdain for human rights.
This ain't a day, this ain't no funeral. This is a party for our Lord and Christ, Jesus Christ.
Communism will win. That's not a joke. That will happen. It will win because we must go down to a single class society. Now, after capitalism, in its late stages as it is right now, we will move down to a one-class system called communism. Democratic and anarchist communism will be the ideology of the future. I'm right over here. You can come and get me if you want. Right over here. You can come and get me if you want. Hold, everybody please hold.
Yeah, I'm gonna...
I got a medical case, I help? All right, go.
Right.
That is interesting how Russia Today decided to edit that at the end. They show the guy on the ground, and then they cut, glory, hallelujah, and Jesus is God, and all these people celebrate, the Christians celebrate, and then they cut back to this. But probably just a funny thing they were trying to do. I don't know. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. These pro-communist Antifa dudes sitting there spouting this stuff out about everything has to be destroyed so we can come together as one, right? And then bam, almost an instant karma type situation. Even with that, we're not supposed to cheer or be happy when anybody's hurt or put down. I just thought that was interesting to share. So let's see what else we got. London Assembly votes to arrest and prosecute pro-life Christians. The London Assembly has been called illiberal and Orwellian after voting to call on the mayor to clarify the powers available to the police to arrest and prosecute pro-life campaigners who pray near abortion clinics and offer support to mothers, accusing them of harassment. The motion passed Thursday and proposed by Labor members, blah, blah, two weird names, labeled pro-life activists and Christian women's support groups anti-choice campaigners, and accused them of obstruction, intimidation, and harassment. However, the Good Counsel Network, the pro-life group concerned, say there has not been a single conviction or caution from police in their 23 years of prayer vigils and outreach gatherings in West London. Mothers who have been helped by the group near the clinic have praised their actions. In October, Ealing Council voted overwhelmingly in favor of a motion banning the group praying and conducting their pro-life outreach inside a 100-meter buffer zone around the clinic. The pro-abortion radical feminist, quote, direct action group, Sister Supporter, who pushed for the vote, hopes it will inspire similar bans all over the country. because they want to keep the babies sacrificed. They want to keep sacrificing the baby. Baal worship, again, back to Mother Goddess and all this, and the mystery religions. We're hoping Ealing sets a precedent to stop the growing harassment of women using abortion services. What happens here could start a domino effect for other councils to follow. However, conservative London Assembly members say the GCN has been attacked because politicians disagree with their views, not because they have acted unlawfully, and the GCN insists in a statement passed to Breitbart London that there is no evidence of harassment. All right, so there you go. There you go. Let's see what else we got. X-Files creator Chris Carter has reacted to bombshell reports of UFOs. This has always been one of my favorite shows. Even this, though, there's more of this kind of, there's politics involved with it now because they have a new series coming out in 2018 with several episodes. But I read a report a while back that Gillian Anderson, the lady right there in the red hair, isn't going to come back until they hire more female writers. So again, it's a bummer that, this is the kind of the politics we're seeing now, and it's just, not that I have anything wrong with more female writers. It's just, I don't know. I guess I'm just rambling, but there's something I wanted to show you down here. So they're interviewing Chris Carter. And again, I love the X-Files. I was still one of my favorite series of all times. But I always wonder, what does Chris Carter know? He covered so many great conspiracies. If you're a quote conspiracy theorist, or if you're just looking for truth outside the mainstream, and you never heard of the X-Files, you should run and check it out. Another one of those shows with weird synchronicities and a lot of truth coming out in episodes and things like this, so you should check it out. But anyway, they're interviewing Chris Carter, the creator, and they say, you think news organizations aren't taking the revelations as seriously as they deserve? It has to do with all the UFO stuff coming out now. He says, one of the problems is that until UFOs become IFOs, identified flying objects, so to speak, people are going to take it all with some level of suspicion. Interviewers, still, the Times story was probably the closest I've seen a credible journalistic organization tiptoe up to saying, hey, aliens are real, without actually doing that. So what were your thoughts reading those reports? Carter says, well, when you see the Defense Department as a secret program that's funded to the tune of $22 million by politicians that are supposed to represent our public interest and doing it in secret, you got to report on these things. And when you have videotape of pilots looking at things that are undeniably unidentifiable, you have to report that as news. And they say, you've always presented the show as entertainment, but along the way, did you ever hear of things back channel that credibly suggested there might be some reality to UFO reports? And he says, yes. I visited the Pentagon several years ago, and it was clear something else was going on there. I met with somebody whose job was part of a group that was roughly in the same area as described as the 5th floor of the C Ring, where the recent UFO project was run. Their job is to think about the future and where the U.S. will be in the future, what its interest will be, and what they'll need to defend. And everything had to do with space and off-planet. Without them actually saying, quote, aliens, there was a suggestion that they were more than earthbound researchers. And they ask, on this subject, there are always two questions, right? Does intelligent extraterrestrial life exist? And if they do exist, have they ever visited Earth? What's your take? He says, I'm a skeptic by nature. I've never seen a UFO. I've never seen an alien, but I've talked to way too many people I consider honest and credible who have. I just spoke to somebody in the last couple of months who has seen UFOs twice in Mexico, and he says they move too fast, and they are too otherworldly to call aircraft of this world. So what else they got here? And they ask, how would people react, I wonder? I suspect a large percentage still wouldn't believe it without a UFO landing in Central Park. He says, yes, imagine the impact on a religion. This is, again, the important stuff. And this is more dialogue we see. And this is, I've been saying in videos for years that when this thing happens and when it comes to the earth, it's going to just change everything. And it's going to have a massive impact on religion and all kinds of religions. People are going to lose their minds because they're going to think these are literally visitors from another planet. They're not going to realize, most people aren't going to realize that these are the fallen ones. This is a mass delusion. This is my opinion on it. Anyway, yes, imagine the impact on religion, on belief. You can throw so many things out. Certainly our anthropocentric view of the world And that's what Carter said. Let's see what else we got. I guess that's about it on that one. But yeah, more of that narrative we see playing out, right? This one was pretty wild. I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but there's a thing called swatting, and it's really evil, but it's really popular in a lot of these gamer communities. Some people get swatted, so if they want to get revenge on somebody or whatever, they'll find out what their address is and they'll call the police in on them. They'll call a SWAT team and say that, you know, they have a hostage or they're a terrorist or something like that. They'll do really crazy stuff. And, you know, the police show up and they're ready to go. And this just happened recently. A Call of Duty player's swatting prank results in deadly police shooting of Kansas man. And the man was unrelated to the online feud. There was a feud between two Call of Duty players who argued after an online wagered match reportedly worth just $1.50 led to the death of a 28-year-old Kansas man who was shot and killed by police after a fraudulent SWAT team call sent a small army of police officers to the man's private home. The news was first reported by a local newspaper, the Wichita Eagle, which cites numerous now deleted tweets in which Call of Duty players take responsibility for participating in or observing the intended prank. One player allegedly provided a fake address to another, who proceeded to embroil the innocent stranger in the feud. The move, known as swatting, involves a disgruntled internet user calling in a fake threat of violence, typically a murder and hostage situation invented by the caller, and doing so anonymously by using software to mask their identity and location. That results in an excessive display of force from police, who have no other information to go on and typically respond to such calls with an extraordinary amount of aggression. It's unclear whether an act of swatting has ever resulted in someone's death before, but numerous people in the past have been severely injured in such situations over online feuds that often do not involve the victim in any way whatsoever. SWAT teams also have a disturbing history of killing innocent people in their own homes, regardless of the source of the threat. The alleged perpetrator of the swatting attack, who went by the Twitter handle Swatistic before changing his handle and then deleting his account entirely, reportedly admitted to calling in a false bomb threat against the Federal Communications Commission over the net neutrality decision, according to Krebs. In this case, Wichita local Andrew Finch, whose family members say did not play video games and was a father of two young boys, answered his door only to face down a SWAT team-level response. Allegedly, one officer immediately fired upon Finch, who later died at a hospital. It's unclear why Finch, who is said not to have a weapon on him, was fired upon. The Wichita Eagle reports that the police department is investigating the issue, which occurred late Thursday night. That's very sad. And that's really just so sick. It's sick. Swatting. I had this one up just because I guess it kind of connected to the first story about, you know, Al Gore's obvious lying about global warming, right? And I know everyone's got different thoughts on this. I'm obviously not on any side of the party line with most things. I don't buy into the paradigm, the false left-right paradigm, but I do take a win when I can get a win. And I thought it was funny that Trump actually did this. That he actually tweeted this out. Let me find it. Here it is. There it was. President Trump mocked the science behind climate change in a tweet Thursday night that claimed the frigid East Coast could actually use more global warming. He said in the East, it could be the coldest New Year's Eve on record, Trump noted about the freezing temperatures in New York and other cities. Perhaps we could use a little bit of that good old global warming that our country, but not other countries, was going to pay trillions of dollars to protect against. Bundle up, exclamation point. I don't know if he's got a writer or if he really does these, but it's, you know, just tossing that in there. Thought it was kind of funny that he did that. Olympics will allow transgender competitors for 2018 Winter Games. Blum, bum, bum. More of that agenda. IOC officials noted that they will not require athletes to compete in categories that match their birth gender, nor will there be any gender or sex testing of competitors ahead of the games. With regard to androgenism in female athletes, there were no regulations in place at the Olympic Games Rio 2016, And there will be no regulations in place at the Olympic Winter Games, Pyeongchang 2018, as we are still awaiting the resolution of the Duty Chand, I guess, case. The Duty Chand case concerns the Indian sprinter who is fighting rules that prevent her from competing because she exhibits female hyperandrogenism and has too many natural male traits which may give her an advantage over female opponents. She was banned from competition because her natural testosterone levels exceeded the IOC's rules. All right. Anyway, there's that. And we'll end on a fun one. I'm a big fan of the monsters. You know, I know there's monsters, what we call monsters out there. I've done a lot of videos on this stuff. There's legitimate strange creatures that wash up on beaches from Los Angeles all the way to New York. So this has been going on for years. I have a lot of different theories on which ones they are. It just depends on what we're looking at. Sometimes I think it could just be a hybrid thing they're creating in labs, and other times it could be something we've never seen before. But I'm always on the lookout for a good monster video. I've always been that way. I put up a lot of paranormal and supernatural stuff on my website. I love the subject. So I thought this one was pretty interesting. It's got a robot voice on it in a little bit. I don't like the robot voice, so I'll turn off the volume in a second, but we'll take a few looks at this. This just came out today. I was reading about it in another forum, and then I found this person put it up on YouTube. So let's go ahead and check it out.
This footage captured the moment.
Just going to pause it a few times and look at it. Anyway, it's pretty weird, right? So I thought that'd be a nice one to end the night on. So let me jump over here to the chat though, and see what's going on for a second. See how you all are doing. Let's go to here. Cool, guys. Hey, how you doing, man? I'm over here in the chat. Thanks again for being here tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Maybe learned a thing or three. I'm not sure. But I also want to take this time to thank those of you out there that support my work through Patreon or PayPal, or even supporting my sponsors, Silver Botanicals. So thank you very much, all of you. And thanks to Silver Botanicals as well. That's it, man. Like I said, I'll be doing a... I'm seeing so many great names. Man, I wish I could sit here for 20 minutes and just shout all you guys out. No, I didn't fart, though. I saw somebody ask if I farted. This is a no fart zone. When I'm doing the show, this is definitely a no fart zone. That's why I've been locking Chubbs up as well, because he doesn't really pay attention to the rules the way I do. So no farting tonight. If you'd like, though, you can put in some requests and I'll think about it. But I appreciate you being here. I'll be doing a catching up with KJ show here soon, so we can just kind of chit chat a little more. Every Friday, I'll be doing KJ's What Happened. So thanks again. And is there anything I forgot? Oh yeah, have a happy and safe New Year. Have a good New Year, guys. Be safe out there, okay? Take care of yourselves. And oh yeah, I've got more videos coming. I've been dealing with new editing software. That's why some of the videos I've made have kind of a different look sometimes, but I'm just kind of working through this. I like to do this stuff to keep me sharp creatively, I guess. I like to keep evolving the work or whatever. So I'm just kind of mixing things up and trying some new things. So thanks for bearing with me. But I got a couple good videos coming out here in the next few days. Also, check out the website, whoiskjosborne.com. That's with a Z. And if you'd like to support my work, there's links there to do that. So God bless you guys. Take care, man. And I appreciate all the mods as well. All right, y'all take care, and I'll talk to you soon.